Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's time again for this week's Unfiltered News from the Reality Zone, where political correctness is not spoken here. Compiled by G.Edward Griffin, the writer and author of the book Creatures from Jekyll Island, and his newsletter for this week, February 9th through the 15th, 2013. And this is the comic strip for this week. Obama offering the deficit promises for Valentine's Day. 0 calories, see? Yes, of course. Now to the headlines for this week. Headlines you may have missed, starting from the 15th back. Video. Meteorite explodes in Russia just before impact, leading many to believe that they were under attack. More than 500 people were injured, and this report includes impressive video clips of the event. Russian television, February 15th. And it was spectacular what happened over there. It appears that the asteroid that came through today, DA-14, had buddies with it. And they came a little bit ahead of it, which came through Eastern Time at 2:24 p.m. Next, UK. National Health Service is threatening a whistleblower and covering up thousands of hospital deaths related to cutting corners to meet government budget targets. Money junkies. This is the norm under socialized medicine, don't you know? Daily Mail, February 14th. California Senator Barbara Boxer is pushing a bill for a national carbon tax on energy producers, with 3/5 of the money rebated to citizens. They had better not spend it too quickly, because the so-called windfall will be taken back from them, plus a lot more, though higher energy costs. That's right, through higher energy costs, they will take that money back. So don't believe a word they're telling you about this carbon tax, what they call an energy tax, carbon tax. Yes, carbon is the destructor of the universe, even though carbon is the major, the basic building block of the entire world. Anyways, WUWT, February 14th. Next. Video. U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren grills banking regulators and asks them why they have failed to take any bank executives to trial for their crimes, while ordinary citizens get squeezed when prosecutors want to make an example of them. The regulators decline to answer that question. Huff Post, February 15th. And they do that all the time. The criminals get away with it, while everyone else suffers as they make a profit from it all. Next, in his State of the Union address, Obama announced plans to implement gun control, a minimum wage of $9 per hour, executive decrees on carbon emission, more education spending, indoctrination, and the creation of preschool child care programs to start the indoctrination earlier. He promised that none of these programs would cost taxpayers anything. Right, they'll just print more money up at the Fed, I suppose, is what he's thinking. New America, February 13th, and devalue our dollar even worse. Article of interest. Olive oil, when eaten with a Mediterranean-style diet, can slash the risk of heart disease by 44%. Natural Society, February 13th. Russia, the largest oil producer, and China, the world's largest oil importer, are hoarding gold, and there is evidence they intend to trade oil for gold in the future instead of U.S. currency. The Federal Reserve, out-of-control money printing, has made the dollar unstable, and it's no longer useful for piggybacking the international price of oil, but the biggest impact of this change will be a dramatic rise in demand for and thus the price of gold. So you better buy gold now before it goes up above where it is now. It may be a good investment if it goes to $5,000 an ounce and silver $500. Economic collapse, February 12th. Next. I can get this there. More Americans are now on food stamps than the entire population of Spain. It is a deadly cycle. Welfare recipients are a measure of America's economic weakness and at the same time a cause of it. Unless there is a fundamental change in the public awareness and national policy, this trend will not stop until everyone is on welfare and the economy is totally dead. CNS News, February 11th. Don't you know? Yet. Video. North Korea has completed its third nuclear test. This is perceived as a warning against the U.S. and South Korea, which have been conducting war games that are designed to intimidate North Korea. Although no one expects all-out nuclear war, still these tests have demonstrated that North Korea has the ability to defend itself in a meaningful manner. Russian television, February 11th. Next, the U.S. government recovered $4.2 billion in fraudulent Medicare and Medicaid payments last year. Undetected fraud is estimated at $20 billion. Courier Journal, February 11th. Next, U.S. Senator Jeff Sessions calls for the resignation of John Morton, Director of the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, because he has failed to enforce the nation's immigration laws and has prevented the arrest of illegal aliens. That's because Obama needs more voters, don't you know, and more slaves, don't you know. CNS News, February 13th. It's that the illegals don't know what's coming at them. Once they get through bringing them up here, they'll see Mexico in America. They left one hell to enter another coming. Video. Washington State, Lewis County Sheriff Steve Mansfield says that a local resident who shot an intruder inside his home was a textbook example of what homeowners should do under those circumstances. He says the law enforcement is not always able to protect the people against violent criminals, so everyone should be able to protect themselves if necessary. Amen. Fox 13, February 11th. Don't you know? Gun control does not work. It's better to arm the citizen than to take it away and make him a victim. Why would everyone want to be a victim of criminals and criminals with badges and guns? Why would anyone want that? That's what the Second Amendment was all about. So you can protect yourself from a tyrannical government and nothing more. Read your Second Amendment. Read the federal papers. Read the rest of it. Do your homework. Video. Apple has refused to allow a phone application app that tracks U.S. drone strikes. The reason given is that the content is objectionable. The content, however, is merely a compilation of mainstream news reports. We think Apple is responding to a pressure from the government which wants to minimize public focus on drone strikes. MSNBC, February 9th. Don't you know? They don't want you to know the horror and the hell they're creating in other countries to get their oil and minerals. U.S. More than 1,000 Green Berets signed a letter opposing gun control, explaining why it doesn't work and supporting the Second Amendment. InfoWars, February 9th. The Green Berets will be the ones that are hopefully be in front line for the new 1776 if we have to go that far. Hopefully the pen is mightier than the sword, and we don't have to go there. Microsoft strongly criticized Google for scanning emails of its account holders to target them for commercial purposes. Microsoft's privacy policy for users of Outlook allows the same activity. Daily Mail, February 9th. More spying, less privacy. Next, China accounts for nearly half of the world's new money supply, making even the U.S. seem fiscally conservative by comparison. China does not publish money supply data, but an approximation can be made by measuring bank deposits. Those numbers reveal massive injections of newly created money, which means hyperinflation ahead. Zero Hedge posted February 9th. Yes, we're going into hyperinflation. Video. Cardiologist uses smartphone as diagnostic and monitoring tools that can replace cumbersome and expensive medical testing devices. This could cut massive amounts of waste from the medical industry and deliver better health care. NBC News, February 9th. Next, Colombia. G.Edward students were involuntarily committed to a mental hospital and drugged for 30 days after cursing at his professor, who he felt gave him an unfairly low grade on an exam. Columbia Spectre, February 9th. Oh yeah, just yelling at somebody now is a mental illness, instead of just being frustration for something they did. Here's an interesting thing. Watch. The largest movement of a glacier ice ever recorded. Nature is awesome. Click and watch the video and be amazed as the chunk breaks off. Here is the analysis section of Unfiltered News. Video. A Canadian newscaster warns Americans that gun registration inevitably leads to gun confiscation. He reviews how this played out in Canada. Today, Canadians who do not surrender their registered guns are being prosecuted. Sun News, February 14th. That's right, they want to make them victims too up in Canada. Eric Blair explains how Obama's proposal to increase the minimum wage to $9 an hour would harm many low-wage workers. They would become too expensive to keep on the payroll and be laid off, thus swelling further the ranks of the unemployed. Activist Post, February 14th. Don't you know? That's all this is. When they bring the minimum wage up to $9 an hour, there's going to be smaller businesses that can't afford to have the more expensive employees they have, and they'll just lay them all off and cut back. It doesn't mean that they will actually hire the lower wage people. No, they'll just make the people that are working there do more work. If they do keep them, they'll have more jobs to do and less time for themselves. Slaves is what they become. Video. Geoengineering, the real climate threat, is an excellent analysis by James Covert. Covert shows that 1. The claim is that man-made CO2 is a threat to the planet is a politically motivated hoax. Ask Al Gore. 2. The same group that had perpetuated that hoax is involved with geoengineering, changing the climate through a chemical and electrical technology. 3. Their geoengineering schemes to combat the mythological CO2 threat is creating the very doomsday scenario they claim to be trying to avoid. Global Research, February 13th. It is. And even Al Gore came out and said, oh yeah, they're geoengineering, they're spraying stuff up there. It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, the man who started the whole thing, saying that people breathing is causing problems, basically. And that CO2 is a dangerous gas. I thought something like carbon monoxide would be considered. If they had chose that, I may have believed them. But no, they chose the harmless gas that plants breathe and make oxygen for us humans and animals and some plants. Video. Judge Napolitano explains that Houston's proposed ordinance to fingerprint and photograph people who sell gold to a government scheme to prevent people from escaping taxes. Another reason is that possession of gold also allows people to protect themselves from inflation and maintain a degree of independence of government. They can't have that. Fox Insider, February 12th. Yes, and by registering and everything, it's just like registering your guns. They know where it's at. They know where your guns are when you register them, and now they know where your gold's at. They know what house to go to and get it when they confiscate gold, as in the FDR days. Don't you know? Video, No Boundaries in Science, is a Discovery Channel's documentary on human cloning. You may be surprised to learn that cloned human embryos already have been created. The final step, which is to implant an embryo in a human uterus, appears to be close at hand. Biological risk and ethical issues are enormous. Discover Science, February 11th. Believe it or not, they're going total. They're going rogue. The governments went rogue, and now they're going all the way. They got a short time. Remember, we're on the last pope. When this new pope comes in, that's the last pope. And by the prophecy of that, the Antichrist isn't too far behind, if you want to believe that such thing. Or if you don't, it doesn't matter. I believe Jesus Christ. Don't you? Great photos of the week. Click and enlarge. Another wall mural photo to have, which is great. If you like horses and horse photos, you'd love this as a wall mural on your wall. This week we have the humor. Men have feelings too. For instance, hungry. A gun is like a parachute. If you need one and don't have one, you probably never need one again. There you go. Let's keep going all through here. This is all the humor. Then we have the unfiltered form. Dentists will use classified ads to disseminate information. Is horse meat unhealthy? Only if it had all the horse shots in it. Just like the cows have all the growth hormones in it, which give cancer to people. Oh, don't you know? And there's a whole article discussion on that. You have another yes to classified ads, and could use classified ads right now for programmer. And then you have classified ad. One people's public trust. And you can read that. And this is this week's unfiltered news. Until next time, this is Spellbinder saying be good or be good at it. Have a wonderful weekend. Don't let a meteor hit you. They seem to be coming now over the next few days. They said go out if you're in clear skies and observe. You might be amazed of what you see. You might catch a bovine out there flying over. You might catch one like in Russia. The big one that comes over, explodes, creates sonic booms, blows windows out, and does harm if you're nearby with glass shards. Don't be near a window. Anyways, have a wonderful weekend and have a good night. This is Spellbinder saying good night, good day, good morning, depending on where you're at.